What's up YouTube? This is going to be our guide on how to use Terrakion in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section. If you enjoy these, they help you out, drop a like and let's get into it. So we're going to do the final 3 legendaries and I'm going to start with Terrakion of the 3 Musketeers, I guess you could say. So, Terrakion is a very, very hyper-offensive Pokemon, and it's got some very nice stats, especially its attack and its speed's pretty dang good too. So, a rock and fighting type Pokemon, so it does have a few weaknesses, but it does get some really, really powerful stab moves as well, which help it out a lot. It's got the ability Justified, so you can increase your attack by 1 stage, so you might be able to bait the opponent into going for a certain terror, and then you could maybe get yourself a Justified as well, so we'll go over maybe some ways of doing that. And looking at its stats, we've got 129 in attack, which is very, very good, and 108 in speed too. So it's not, I wouldn't call it a completely overpowered Pokemon, but it's still a very, very scary Pokemon. For sure. So, alright, let's have a look at our first set here. This is going to be a loaded dice set. So, Terrakion obviously has a ton of rock-type moves. Stone Edge being one that's been used on it for, like, the beginning of time, right? But with loaded dice in the game, you can actually use Rock Blast now. And that's going to be quite a good move on it because you can get 100 base power minimum on there. And then you can get 125 base power with the 5th hit. So that's going to be really nice for sure. So Sword Dance, of course, Sword Dance is always a good set on Terrakion, so you can boost up its already nice high attack stat. And then you could go with Rock Blast. Rock Blast is great because it's multiple hits. You can get around substitutes, sturdy, sashes, you know, all that sort of stuff. You can even get individual crits there, which is kind of handy too. Close Combat, the straight up powerful move, 120 base power. Stab is going to do lots. And there are a couple of options here for what you want to actually do here as a last move. So I like Iron Head on there for any fairy type Pokemon. I think it's, you know, decent. And if you are faster, you can go for some flinches. I don't mind that at all. I think that's, you know, not too bad. There's quite a few ones you can actually go for. So you've got Iron Head. Another one is Earthquake. Earthquake's pretty good. That allows you to hit, I guess, fire type. I mean, the thing about Earthquake is it's a nice move, but you've already got the coverage for it mostly. Like, the only thing you're really hitting is, like, poison. That's virtually it. I mean, you're hitting rock already. You're hitting steel already. So, really, it only helps you hit poison types, I guess you could say. That's going to be sort of your, I don't know, something like maybe a Toxapex, right, would be useful, or a Desperation Terra Poison Pokemon. That could be useful for sure. So sort of pick your last move how you feel you want to, you know, what you need on your team for it. It does have some other options like Poison Jab and stuff, and you can try and, you know, really hyper focus for fairies, but I'd say Earthquake or Iron Head would be good. Terra type. So Terra type Rock's pretty good for Rock Blast. I quite like that. Another good one you could try as well is also Terra Ghost. Ghost isn't bad because you can get around a few priority moves like fighting type moves. Plus, if you get hit by a dark type move, that can also give you an attack rise as well. And it's kind of bait for the opponent. The thing you have to watch out for though is Terrakion, as you can see, isn't really bulky at all. So it's not going to take like hits, you know, especially if you've used close combat a couple of times. So that's just something to think about there. You could shake this set up a little bit. Let's say you didn't want loaded dice. Focus Sash isn't half bad on there, more for singles. Because this is going to be, obviously, these are some single sets as we get to, you know, doubles. So, Focus Sash, and then, obviously, I'd adjust Rock Blast, the Stone Edge there. This gives you a chance to actually live something, and potentially, if all priority moves are removed from the opponent's side, you could get a Sword Dance, Terra Ghost, and then someone could go for, maybe someone could go, if you still had Sash intact, someone could hit you with like a knockoff or something, and then you get like +3. So there's like some little ways of doing that. There's some other cool like 1 HP sort of sweeper one. I've got a set for that, which I'll show you in a little bit, but I just wanted to show some, different things there. I'm trying to think of some other good ones here. You've got Rock and Ground. They're both good terrors. Definitely. Rock, Ground. They're just going to do a lot of damage. Earthquake does hit electric types as well. I guess that is something that I didn't mention, but you can still hit them for like in neutral, close combat, and Stone Edge. It'd be for something like really tanky, like say like Belly Bolt or something like that. I'm trying to think of more of a tanky Pokemon. But there's some good options there. Another one you could try. I'm just thinking. Another one you could try, maybe Flying. That could be interesting. So Terra type Flying, definitely more as a defensive one for sure. So that could possibly work. Terra type Flying. There's not too much outside of that. You could give it something like Life Orb as well, if you wanted more damage on there. You could opt to have White Herb on there for close combat drop, but I probably wouldn't do that because there's better items. Another good one could be Lumberry as well. If you do get burned, that's quite a good one on there as well. So there's quite a few items you could put on a Sweeping Sword Dance set there. And if it's loaded dice, use Rock Blast. If it's not, use Stone Edge, right? Stone Edge is 100 base power, but it's less accurate than Rock Blast. Rock Blast is actually superior in virtually pretty much every single way, except it can't get a critical hit. That's about it. Let's have a look at the next set here. All right, so Terrakion can run a Choice Band and a Choice Scarf set pretty well. Its moves are going to be virtually the same in what I showed you. I might be able to suggest a couple of different terrors, but I don't think so. Maybe a couple of other different moves too. So Close Combat Stone Edge. You want those there. Obviously, without loaded dice, Stone Edge is better because you can't guarantee 4 hits. So those, Stone Edge and Close Combat, you're going to virtually see on every Terrakion set. That's what it uses, right? You instead of Stone Edge, you'll see Rock Blast. That's about the only exception there. So you all see them. Earthquake is a good move on there for sure. You've got Iron Head for any Fairy-type Pokemon. You've also got Quick Attack as well. So it does get some priority. It's not very good, though. It's really only going to be useful for finishing off a Pokemon that has a little bit of health. That's virtually it, right? Terra types, I had Steel there for Iron Head for any Fairy-type moves like Moonblast. You could... I really wouldn't do Terra Normal on there just to boost up Quick Attack. I don't think that's going to be that viable. I'd have Rock for a massive Stone Edge. Look, you could try the whole Ghost thing again to try and get justified boost. It is, it's possible. Maybe you could even put Terra Blast on there, for a Ghost-type Pokemon. That could work. So Terra Blast Ghost, because Ghost types do like to swap into Fighting-type Pokemon. So that could be a nice, definitely nice. You might even be able to get some good damage there, and you might even be able to get a Justified on top of that. So Justified plus Choice Band. That would be pretty impressive damage, actually. Yeah, that's all I do for there. I don't think there's too much I would add as attacking moves, honestly. Let's have a look at some doubles now. So this set here has been around for a while. Not this exact set, but variants of this set has been around for quite a while, right? So this is a Rock Slide set. Now, Rock Slide is obviously going to be used in, it's going to be Terrakion and a beat-up Pokemon with Justified. So you're going to have the beat-up Pokemon use a beat-up on Terrakion, and that's going to increase its attack every time it gets hit, right? So you could do, loaded dice Whimsicott. I'll go over some more strategy with these, of course, but that's what this set is sort of looking at. Upper Hand is actually kind of interesting because... It's a priority move. It's a fighting one too. So if you're expecting a priority move, you can get upper hand and get a flinch. Sacred Sword, you've either got an option between Sacred Sword or Close Combat. Sacred Sword is good for getting damage and ignoring any stat changes. And then I've also got Protect on there as well. But virtually you're going to be spamming Rock Slide at, you know, plus 4 or more, you know. That's sort of going to be the way there. Plus 4, you know, in attack. Jolly Nature, max attack and max speed. You know, sort of standardy stuff there for Terrakion. And you want to be going as fast as possible too. So Rock Slide, I probably wouldn't run any other Terra than that because you're going to be focusing on using Rock Slide the whole time. You might be able to slip it, if you don't want upper hand, you might be able to slip Earthquake onto there as well. That could work well because you are hitting 2 Pokemon, but you've got a lot of stat boost, right? So that could be another way of hitting some other Pokemon for a doubles sort of set, like a doubles justified set, all right? Let's have a look at the next set, but I will go with some teammates for these specific sets and stuff after these. All right, so I thought that this one's a little bit more for singles. I wouldn't run Terrakion. There's not really any other ways you'd run Terrakion. It's a sweeping Pokemon, right? So this could possibly be a okay Stealth Rock or a Taunter. Mainly, this is more geared towards singles play. So you could lead with it, and you could taunt like those Stealth Rock users, and it's quite fast too. And you could taunt them and set up your own Stealth Rock. And with Sash, you're going to be able to at least live 1 attack, and you've got Close Combat and Rock Slide as well. You could change that to Stone Edge if you wanted. I thought it'd be good for maybe a flinch. Terratite goes for a justified boost. Max attack and max speed, Jolly Nature for that. So it's sort of like a Stealth Rock lead set, and with Taunt too. So someone's going to try and set some boost up or entry hazards on you, you sort of got it covered. Also in singles play, it might be good to have Terra Ghost on there for blocking stuff like Rapid Spin. That could be useful at the start. Some players may want to try and set up their own, or go, or send in a Rapid Spin Pokemon. You can go Terra Ghost and block that as well. So that is that's an option there for sure. All right, so this is my 1 HP sweeper set. It's probably my favorite set for more of a competitive one, but it's still gimmicky. So I really like 1 HP Pokemon and Upper Hand. I think it's quite good. Obviously, it takes a fair bit of prediction, though. So we've got Endure and Weakness Policy. Terrakion is probably not going to be living any super effective moves whatsoever. Since we're not running Sword Dance on this set, we need to have another way to boost that up, right? So Weakness Policy is going to do the job. Now, Reversal is actually more powerful than any of its fighting moves if used in conjunction with 1 HP, and that's going to be just spamming really doing tons of damage there. So the less health you got, the more damage it does there, completely outpowering those other moves. Earthquake is going to be a coverage move on there, and I've got like for ghost types, and I've also got Upper Hand on there. So Upper Hand works when you're on 1 health. So say someone tries to use a priority move against you, this actually out prioritizes and it flinches them 100% of the time. So, and that's going to do a lot of damage after a Weakness Policy too. So that'd be really cool. Getting around, and because a lot of Pokemon on 1 health, you can just use a priority move on them to finish it off. This gets around that counter, which I think is pretty cool. Terra type fighting, boosting up the power Reversal and Upper Hand. You could do something else in Earthquake on there, but I just left it there. As a way to do some damage there around it. Maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe... No, I would leave it at Earthquake. That's fine. That'd be okay. It's a pity it doesn't let Crunch. That'd be good for Ghost-type Pokemon. Max Attack and Max Speed, Jolly Nature for Terrakion. All right, last set here we've got, and I'm going to go over some counters and some teammates and some other thoughts. We got the PIMPNITE special, so we got a special Terrakion, which is absolutely horrendous. It actually gets Air Slash, which is really cool. So I made this terrible Calm Mindset. So firstly, we were going to have Wide Lens, increasing its accuracy by 1.1 times, because it's got quite a few inaccurate moves. So its most powerful special move that's fighting is Focus Miss, or Focus Blast. And we got Air Slash, which is pretty cool. So that can hit like grass Pokemon and stuff like that, which is pretty funny. And it could also have a chance of flinching as well. I thought Terra Flying would be fun on that too. So making Air Slash, better, and also, being somewhat of a defensive Terra. And Earth Power as well, of course, just for some coverage. And Calm Mind to boost up Terrakion's incredibly terrible special attack of 72. Max special attack and max speed, timid nature. And yeah, Wide Lens is going to increase the accuracy. Well, Air Slash is good. And then make Focus Blast, a little bit more appealing when using it. So there you go. There's the PIMPNITE special Terrakion. Let's have a look at some counters and some teammates now. Let's do teammates first. Now, rolling back here, when we're looking at Terrakion with Rock Slide, this is what you want to have, right? There might be a couple of Pokemon that fall into this category as well. So, you can do stuff like this, right? I've done a Whimsicott guide already if you want to check it out. So, you've got beat up Whimsicott, so you can just do that and increases attack with beat up, so 4 times, and have this as an ally. So, you can increase the potentially... Let's say you had this. You could go turn 1 Protect with Terrakion. Whimsicott uses Tailwind, right? Then you could use Beat Up on Terrakion. Increases attack by 4 stages. And then you could go like Terra Rock and then spam Rock Slide, right? It's going to do tons and tons of damage coming off that attack stat. You also have a chance of a 30% chance of a flinch as well if the opponents do manage to live, or they resist it, or they've got Focus Sash, or some sort of ability to, to allow them to live there, like Sturdy. So that's an option there that you can absolutely use. Now, there are other Pokemon that can... There are a couple of other beat-up Pokemon out there, but Whimsicott's quite good because it's got Tailwind as well. But there are a couple there if you want to have a look at them. You've got like Weavile and Annihilate and stuff like that. So... there are some other options there if you want to, give those ones a go. You could try. I was gonna say you could try Annihilate. That wouldn't be like all that bad either. At least you'd have something for ghost types. But you get the idea anyway. I mean, that has been around for a very long time. I remember doing that strategy when you could first, I think it was in Gen 5, when I first did that. All right, some counters and teammates, I reckon, for Terrakion. Now, this is a hyper-offensive, like, Terrakion is definitely a hyper-offensive Pokemon, right? So, any real faster Pokemon, I'm thinking Swift Swim and I'm thinking water types. Let's have a look here. So you've got Barraskewda, Basculin, heck, even Draenor, Kingdra. Like, there's a lot of Pokemon that completely destroy it. So weather, rain, right? That's going to get around it for sure. I'm thinking some Psychic type Pokemon. So maybe something like really bulky that resists a lot. I'm thinking something like Slowbro. I was thinking Water and Psychic wouldn't be too bad. So, that's resisting its close combat, and it can hit really, really hard. So anything like Slowbro would be a good counter. That typing's pretty good, actually. Any faster Pokemon, too, that are going to do tons of damage, or Choice Scarf Pokemon. Or how about a Zapdos, Galar, or a fighting type? That would completely destroy it. Cresselia would be nasty too. I'm just thinking that would be nasty. So Cresselia gets around Earthquake with Levitate. Close Combat is going to do Donkeys, and it would have to rely on going for Stone Edge, whereas Cresselia could set up Calm Minds, fire off Moonblast, stuff like that. I've done a Cresselia guide already if you want to check it out. I would say Armoroid would be okay too. Obviously, it would have to watch out for Stone Edge, so that would be something that could be okay there. It would probably need a weak armor boost up there to outspeed it though. But if it did get a weak, say if it swapped into a close combat, got a weak armor boost, then yeah, Terrakion's cooked. So that's more of a hyper-specific kind of counter there, or, you know, situation. Any real bulky defensive walls, too. I was thinking Aloma Mola. That would be a pain in the ass, and, you know, spreading burns. That would be a problem. Sableye wouldn't be bad either, being a ghost type, and, you know, Will-O-Wisp. That could be possible. Hippowdon's pretty tanky as well. So any, like, health defensive walls, that would be a problem for Terrakion. Some partners. So we said Whimsicott. Rillaboom's not all that bad either. That can get rid of you know, quite a few of its counters. For sure. Another one could be Ogerpon Wellspring, due to its typing. And it could be a great support Pokemon for... A great support Pokemon for Terrakion. I have done Ogerpon already. Yeah, so any Pokemon that's going to support a lot is going to be very, very useful for that. Let's have a look at some other... Actually... Some Follow Me Pokemon wouldn't be all that bad either. I was thinking something like... Clefable would be okay. That wouldn't be too bad. Oh, I did mention Ogerpon Wellspring as well, but you could do Follow Me Water Absorb. That would be really, really good. That would, if it did have, say you're running like this set here, that would be really, really good to redirect that. If it had Sash too, that would give another chance. I put Covert Cloak on here, by the way, just in case, say, a Pokemon with Fake Out comes in and tries to flinch me. That would be definitely something you'd want there, for sure. Or you could have Sash there. I like Covert Cloak. I think that's better. You're able to get around a lot of those like annoying moves and continue your sweep, you know? Dondozo would be a pretty good counter. It's got so much health and so much defense. So I think Terrakion would really, really struggle to get around that. Plus, it's got Unaware as well, so it would ignore any Sword Dance boost. So, yeah, there's some good Pokemon counters and some good teammates for it. Let's have a look at Terrakion. All right, here we go. So we've gone over most of this stuff here. It's quite barren. It really is quite barren. There's nothing I really haven't mentioned here. It does get Quick Guard as well, but there's no point because there's no point running Quick Guard because it gets Upper Hand. It gets Coaching, which is interesting. Maybe you could slot that on there, but it's more of a hyper offensive Pokemon. So I feel like you need a partner using Coaching on Terrakion instead, you know what I mean? Because it's the hyper offensive physical attacking Pokemon. Let's check its physical moves out. Alright, so close combat, that's pretty good. I like that in singles a little bit better than doubles. I mean, you can definitely run it in doubles. I'm not saying you can't. Earthquake gets high horsepower if you want to choose that over Earthquake in doubles. Iron-Headed Poison Jab are answers at least to Fairy type Pokemon. Rock Blast, we've gone over that already with a load of dice. Rock Slide's good for doubles. Sacred Sword is another option outside of close combat. Plus, you get to ignore the stats changes. So, something that's really hyper-specific, like this is quite a hyper-specific example here. Registeel, right? I'm trying to think, like, say if you come across like a body press, iron defense, Registeel. That, like, a move like that would be perfect because you ignore all their stat changes. Or like, say you come across a iron defense Garganacl. You know? That would be the same sort of thing there, so that would work very, very well. Unless it had Terra Ghost, which a lot of them do, but you get the idea there. That's where that move would come in, probably come in a little bit more handy. Stone Edge, obviously, that's just bread and butter. There's not too much else out here. It does get Aerial Ace, which is a little bit nichey, but it's not that powerful. Yeah, there's not too much here. It gets Stomping Tantrum, which could be interesting with, Stomping Tantrum and Stone Edge. That could be kind of cool, but I probably would run that on this loaded dice set I was talking about before. I would do... Yeah, actually, that would be pretty good. I quite like that on there because you've got a chance to miss here, and that could be useful. That could actually be pretty useful. yeah, that could be a useful one to use there. So there's its physical moves, and its special moves are absolute garbage. So you're probably not going to ever use a special Terrakion, but you could use a choice specs one, or you could go for like, oh, I'm a little bit disappointed it doesn't get Snarl. I was hoping that it did, because you could use that throat spray or whatever. But yeah, that's going to be about it for Terrakion. Terrakion is a nice hyper offensive Pokemon. It does work well in singles for any bulky support Pokemon or entry as a Pokemon. It works well around that. In doubles, it works well with support Pokemon that can increase its attack with its justified ability and fire off big, massive area effect moves like Rock Slide and Earthquake. That's pretty much it, everyone. Next week, I will be doing Virizion and Cobaline, and that's all for the Legendaries. We've got through all of them, so if there's any Pokemon you want to see me cover, it's coming up, so put them below. If you like this, it helped you out, drop a like on the video, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.